You know what? This is a crazy story, so you guys honestly have to hear this. It's gonna be a long video, so sit back, relax, get some popcorn, and watch this flick. Remember to like and don't forget to subscribe. This judge had made history by doing the only thing judges are not allowed to do. When we think of our justice system, we have some pretty solid images of how, a judge should act in and outside of the courtroom. Well, honestly, just forget everything that you thought you knew, because the story left us amazed. How amazed? Let's just say that we won't be surprised if Netflix turned it into a doco crime. Yeah, you guessed it, the one with the white blazer is the judge. Her name is Tracy Hunter, and the truth behind this, and what led to this picture, is a lot more complicated than what you'd expect. Tracy, a corrupt judge or an innocent woman, is being prosecuted for political and racial reasons? You know what? In fact, she wanted to be a civil rights lawyer. This story, just like any other good juice story, starts off completely normal. Young Tracy Hunter really wanted to become an attorney. She studied for an undergraduate degree in Miami and graduated in 1988. After school, she found a very first job working as an attorney for a law firm called White, Schneider, Bayless & Chesley. In 1994, Tracy plucked at her courage and opened up her own law firm. Her firm was dealt with civil rights matters, personal injuries, and real estate. You know what? So far so good. She was the first ever African American judge to be in her county. This obviously accounts to something, especially in her town. Trouble came out her door eventually though. She was having a good life. But the problem with the term began when she was dragged out of the courtroom in 2019. She was supposed to start a term in 2011. Problems with her term came way before she had to be dragged out of the courtroom in 2019. She was supposed to start a term in January 2011, but there was suspicion that the ballots were in the wrong precincts. AKA, she faked herself to get in there. Fake vote. So, was the election rigged? Was it on purpose? And who did it? A lawsuit was filed to try to find this out in this sort of fishy dispute, but the lawsuit was eventually settled by Judge J. Dallot, who ruled in the Hunter's favor. She had thought that the legal fiasco was over, but you know what? That just wasn't the case. Judge Susan D. Dallot concluded that there was nothing sketchy about the election. There were worker errors which affected the ballot, but according to Dallot, there were still votes that accounted and could be counted in Hunter's favor. But you have to admit it still sounds pretty suspicious, but it's definitely not a good way to start your term. Well, she was in trouble once she walked in. And you know what? It's a shame. And now they have to decide if she's innocent or guilty, despite what happened. But the question is unjust in that way. To this day, Tracy claims she's innocent and is only being prosecuted because of political reasons. And it could be right. By 2013, she already had bad blood with the prosecutor's office. And earlier that year, Tracy accused County Prosecutor Joe Detters of defaming her, which is just a fancy court speaking for other names and ruining her others' reputations. Come on guys, you're judges for Christ's sake, not Kanye West and Taylor Swift. Teeters is having said anything to defame Tracy. So they decided to investigate. In 2013, 2 special prosecutors were sent to investigate the special allegations against Tracy. But the truth is that the lawsuits against Tracy are being filed way before the 2 prosecutors were sent to investigate into the matter. But by 2012, Tracy was sued by the Hamilton County Public Defender's Office. She was accused of having too many delays in issues and rulings. Most of these rulings were regarding children who were at risk and needed to either be removed from their homes or adopted in foster care, yada yada. So yeah, delaying these rules for over 120 days, Tracy, not cool at all. And you know what, the evidence just kept stacking up against her. Evidence started stacking up. Tracy's attorney, who goes by the name Richard Blake, claimed no one ever told her this matter was ever being investigated. In the meantime, 2 special investigators interviewed 30 witnesses, and evidence against Hunter started stacking up quickly like dirty laundry. Our girl Tracy was not about to go down without a fight. Hunter did say she singled out a problem that started long before she ever became a judge, but all that didn't help her much. By January of 2014, she ended up being indicted for 9 felonies. Let that sink in for a second. She was in the office for less than 2 years. 9 crimes. She was accused of forgery, tampering of evidence, misusing credit cards, and even theft. These are just a few things of a list of wrongdoings. Was it a true conspiracy? At this point, the whole story sounds surrounding more like the type of thing Netflix would make a true crime documentary about. But there are enough conspiracies in this case for at least 6 episodes. Would you watch a Netflix documentary about Tracy's crazy life? You know what? You probably would. But wait, hold your horses, because the real scandalous stuff is still ahead of us. She hasn't been sentenced to jail yet. She hasn't been dragged out of the courtroom yet. Now let's get to the sordid part. One of the charges against Hunter was that she hired her own brother to work in the court. That's what we call old nepotism. In that word, I have no idea what that means. Not only did she hire her brother, but she allegedly used her power as a judge to get some documents from her brother's personnel file. While her brother was in the process of getting fired, Hunter gave him some papers she found in his record. If that's not obstruction of justice, we just don't know what is. And you know what? This caused her to being disqualified from a judge. At this point, there was so much evidence stacked up against her. Hunter was just disqualified from being a judge. It was decided that she would remain disqualified as long as the charges against her were open. But check this out. Tracy got to collect her $121,350 salary. But damn, those people in the public world really got it, huh? We love to get a salary while sitting here at home after being accused of 9 different crimes, you know? Totally would. Any day, man. It's a lot of money for having that many crimes against you. And you know what? She wouldn't go down without a fight. Our girl Tracy was not to go down without a fight. On January 17th, 2014, she pled guilty to all 9 felony charges. But the really exciting thing about this case was the number of charges, or how Tracy pled to them. But how she chose to deal with the situation was honestly the surprising part of this entire situation. Many would prefer to stay home, stay quiet until their name is either cleared out or found guilty. But not our Tracy. She went to Cincinnati Darkton Martin Luther King Parade on January 20th, 2014. She was seen holding a banner of her picture next to image of influential civil rights leaders. Vain much? Pretty vain, man. No cap. Let's just get to the trial already. This is very impatient, and the climax has been going up for quite a while. Now let's get to what you promised in the beginning, the trial. Tracy was dragged out of the court. She was convicted of giving her brother confidential documents which she shouldn't have seen. The judge who tried to see her case evidence left no doubt that the Hunter was guilty. She was convicted of giving her brother confidential documents which she shouldn't have seen in the first place. And this judge, who attempted to see the evidence, left no doubt that Hunter was guilty and gave him a very serious blow to the public confidence of our judicial system, and there's no question about that. Hunter was sentenced to 6 months in jail, which according to her would put her on the same glorified list with some civil rights lawyers, but as some charges, the jury found it very hard to decide whether Hunter was guilty or not, which is why the judge declared it a mistrial. But guess what? She appealed, and you know what? She made it out. There was not enough evidence against her, and she appeared to win the court case. But you know what? It all went wrong. You want to know how it went wrong? Because she had very bad luck. The Ohio Supreme Court allowed Hunter's sentence to be delayed while she was failing an appeal, but that didn't help her much since the appeals decided to uphold her conviction, and that Supreme Court didn't even want to hear her case. And nope, she ain't going. In a court sentenced to 6 months of jail, but Tracy wasn't really about to have it. If someone wanted Tracy in jail, she'd have to physically drag her there. Otherwise, there's no way she's going. Gender or race issues, you know. As the sentence was being given, supporters of Hunter were outside. They wore t-shirts with her name and shouted. Her lawyers said that she was clearly being mistreated because of one of her race, genders, and public opinions. It was a dumpster fire from the start, honestly. And she did get out of jail after. She saw light on the day of October 5th, 2019. And when she was given an interview that day, just a few moments after she was released from jail. And yeah, she will always be remembered as a judge who had to be dragged out of the courtroom, and that's something. If you haven't already, please like and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.